So let's talk about mini games and JRPGs. Mini games, Teal, mini games.
Oh gosh, fishing. I love fishing mini games.
So let's talk about mini games and why you should have them, when you should have them, when they're going too far, and kind of give some parameters for new developers on using mini games in your RPG.
Sure.
All right.
Well, the first rule of mini games is that it has nothing to do with your plot.
Yes, it can't be a fail gate. Do not make your mini games a gate in which the player has to pass in order to continue the plot, unless the game is so easy they can't really fail it, or if failure moves the story along anyway. A good example is the initial horse race in Dragon Quest XI.
That's right.
Where, you know, it is extremely easy at first, even when you're racing Sylvando. And the key motorcycle race in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, where Terra races against Pete and the others.
Right.
Extremely easy. They give
very easy.
They give you a shortcut that only you can use that cuts the racetrack in half.
So, as we were saying, one way is to make sure that the mini game is not a failgate, that it has nothing to do with the plot.
Yes.
Now, along those same lines, a corollary is the mini game should not take over the plot.
Right. And
should not overshadow your story. Should not overshadow the action. Unless
mini games are literally the point of the game, like Mario Party. At that point, but you're playing a mini game. I think someone.
Well, we're talking about a JRPG.
True story.
So Mario Party does not fall under that.
Very true.
But going on that same line of thinking is your mini game should, I would say, it needs to have some good rewards. There needs to be a point to playing the mini game. Just winning potions, that's silly. Unless, of course, it's Kingdom Hearts and you can win like unlimited potions or pretty stones.
Okay.
But most mini games, the incentive to play them and just not ignore them is the items that you gain from them.
Right. And as Roxy mentioned, mini games are a good side activity that keep you from getting burned out on the main plot. Dragon Quest XI did it.
Exactly.
Dragon Quest XI did it really well. You take a moment to do things like the Fun Size Forge minigame. I'm going to talk about that in a second. The racing minigame Casino, because the story is so long. It is so long.
Yeah.
So it helps. There's your other thing, the Fun Forge. They made a minigame out of a crafting mechanic. That was cool.
They did. That was actually pretty clever.
Yes.
Some games, the mini game is like a mechanic.
Yeah.
It's definitely a mechanic, and playing the mini game gets you prepared to do something later on.
Yes.
In like a main plot dungeon.
Yes. Teach, enforce, test.
Yeah. Teach, enforce, test.
Yes, and you can use mini games to teach a mechanic or a system that the player is going to need later on, even if it's not readily apparent. A system like, let's say you have a mini game where you pole vault, and you got to press a certain button at a certain time, and you got to get the gauge up at a certain point, and you pole vault. Whee! Well, then you go isekai from your high school where you're pole vaulting into another world, and then that very same mechanic can be used later on in the game to actually clear parts of the world.
I've got a good example of that, of what you're talking about. In Kingdom Hearts 1, the Olympus Coliseum. Those Olympic trials, they teach you a different moveset or mechanic, and you practice it, you get good at it, and in later dungeons in the game, you will use those skills. Yeah,
to like bat stuff and barrels across a chasm or things like that. Absolutely. Heck, Destiny Islands teaches you when you're sparring against Tidus, Waka, and Selphie. That teaches you how to fight and how to deal with combos and how to deal with long-range weapons when you're knocking the blitzball back. The fight against Riku puts all of that together and shows you how to fight a tough enemy. The race against Riku is how to navigate obstacles. Very brilliantly done.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I hope we've given you some good ideas, guys in Black Rose, about the good mini games in a JRPG.
And I do think most importantly, and this may seem obvious, but when you're designing your mini game, regardless of what it is, it has to be fun. It has to be fun.
Yeah. The fun factor.
There's a reason a lot of people talk about Triple Triad and very few people talk about Tetramaster in Final Fantasy IX. Triple Triad, as much as it infuriated me, I can see how people would enjoy it.
Yeah.
I had a huge issue with how complex Tetramaster was. I couldn't do it, but they made it completely optional. It was not a victory condition like with the Omega Weapon and Triple Triad.
Yeah.
You know, Valborn mentioned he found the Blitzball tutorial to be too overwhelming. I agree. I learned how to play Blitzball losing the very first time that I played the game, and then save scumming so that I could actually win that tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what happened on my account. So I enjoy, just like the mini game to get the eject ball. I failed it the first time. Then I reset and I got it right. Final Fantasy X did not teach that mini game well at all. Not at all.
They did not. No, they didn't.
But once you get into the spirit of it, it actually can be fun. I actually kind of liked Blitzball. I didn't like it in 2, but I liked it in the first one. This is good.
Dodging lightning is not a good mini game.
No. No.
Dodging lightning in a desert.
And you gotta dodge that shit 200 times in a row consecutively in order to make my girl Lulu's ultimate weapon worthwhile. Fuck you, Square Enix.
Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, when you're designing your mini games, have them be fun. Have them, if possible, teach a mechanic that can be worthwhile later in the game. Do not make them as a failgate to your main story. You know, and I think most of them...
And give out some decent rewards.
Give out some decent rewards. And, you know, and try to make it match your world. You know, it would be really weird to have, like, a roulette wheel in a Stone Age game. Unless it's a Stone Age roulette wheel. That would be awesome. Make a Stone Age roulette wheel. One of you. This is a good topic. This is a good topic.
Yeah, really good topic. Thank you, Black Rose.
Yes. Well, if you like what you saw, lay that smack down the like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect with us over social media, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.